The first part of the assembly is to put the rear leg onto the rear of the bike. If you gently lift the rear of the bike in place and put the leg so that the holes line up, and then with the bolt and the washer, pop it down through the hole until it comes out the other side. Same on the second bolt in place, and then a nut and washer on the bottom. Once the rear leg is in place, just pop the bike back to get easy access. Set the front leg in position, align the holes up with the wheels facing out and the feet facing down. Bolt with washer through the leg and out. A 6mm Allen key and a 17mm spanner, okay? And we're going to tighten up each of the 4 bolts holding the legs. Nice and snug. We need to ensure that all of the 4 feet are tightened in against the base leg. Gently putting the bike back down on the ground to do the rest of the assembly. If the floor is uneven, you can just adjust the foot accordingly. So firstly, we need to remove the seat post so that we can lubricate the 4 sides. With some light grease, or like Vaseline, petroleum jelly, just run a light coat on all 4 edges. To reinsert the seat post back into the frame of the seat tube and secure in any position. Apply a light coat of the petroleum jelly or grease onto the seat slider. Position the seat onto the seat slider facing forward. With the quick release lever for the seat slider, we're going to position the washer with the cup curve facing down. Then we're going to pop the adjuster in place facing up. The lever should not be over tightened, just lift in place until nice and snug and the seat is in position. The next stage of assembly is we're fitting the adapter onto the X-bars. Make sure the bolt is going through from the counterbore side. From the washer and a nut on the back. Repeated for all 4 positions. Using a 6mm Allen key and a 13mm spanner, we tighten all 4 bolts up. To fit the bottom cover, we need to make sure that the holes in the bottom cover line up with the bolts in the back of the assembly. Using a 4mm Allen key, use the small bolts to secure the cover in place. The same on the other side. Before assembly to the bike, apply a light coat of grease to the adapter. Now we're going to fit the square rubber gaiter onto the head tube of the frame. With the X-bars pointing forwards, insert it into the head tube and drop it down to the bottom. Tighten up the adjuster nut until secure. To fit the handlebars, we ensure that the etched area of the handlebars is seated centrally in the clamp and that the shifter is on the right hand side of the bike. Apply a light coat of grease to the bolt, put the washer in place, position the head clamp and insert the 4 bolts and washers. Before tightening the bolts of the clamp, you need to ensure that there's between 5 and 10mm clearance underneath the cable exit, or the size of your small finger. Using a 5mm Allen key, we need to tighten all 4 bolts diagonally and equally. An easy way to check this is so that the spacing is equal on both sides of the clamp. Finally, for the handlebar area, we're going to fit the bar ends on each side with the clamp facing downwards. The correct angle for the bar end is at about 15 degrees or so that it is parallel with the top of the X-bars. Make sure that the bolts for the handlebars and the clamp are tightened securely. The shifter cable should be correctly routed underneath the headstock, like so. Next we're going to fit the pedals. There's a right side pedal and there's a left side pedal. Apply a light coat of grease to the threads and insert the right pedal into the right crank, turning clockwise. Finger tighten the axle as far as possible so as not to damage the thread. Repeat the same procedure with the left pedal, remembering that the thread on the left pedal tightens anti-clockwise. Using a 15mm spanner, tighten the pedal securely without over-tightening. The final part of the assembly is to fit the water bottle bracket. After removing the bolts from the frame, simply position the bracket. Using a 5mm Allen key, simply tighten the bolts securely. The seat angle should be horizontal with the floor from nose to heel. The seat orientation should also be aligned along the centre of the bike. A 14mm spanner can be used to release the seat clamp if either of these positions need to be adjusted. The correct height for the handlebars is when their position is horizontal with the top of the seat. If you need to adjust the seat height, simply loosen the knob, lift or drop the seat post accordingly and retighten. To adjust the pedal straps, fit the foot into the pedal and tighten up the strap snugly. The correct seat height is when the lower leg in the lower crank position is slightly bent. To set up or to adjust the resistance, we must first start by rotating the shifter away from yourself to the minimum position. Next, we must ensure that the end of this insert is in line with the housing, like so. Using a 5mm Allen key, loosen the clamp bolt. This will release the resistance pads. Using the heel of the hand to push one pad in, bring the other pad in just so that the pads make contact with the flywheel. Without pulling too tightly, just take up the slack in the cable and tuck it behind your fingers. Using the same Allen key, simply tighten the bolt back up securely. Finally, tuck the resistance cable behind the clip on the lever. To get maximum performance from the resistance, we're going to clean the flywheel down with just a regular degreaser. Just turn the flywheel and rub the degreaser in to rub any contaminants off the surface. Resistance range is correctly set when at minimum resistance the flywheel can run freely, and at maximum resistance it is very difficult to pedal. Last but not least, the entire bike should be cleaned down using domestic furniture polish. Your X-Bike is now set up and ready to use.